Today we're going to jump into an XRP update to kind of dive into why XRP is flying once again. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. As you guys know, we cover XRP. It's one of the tokens and projects that we really watch closely, mainly because it has such a linchpin position in the entire crypto industry right now. Obviously, with the SEC investigation and what's happening with Ripple and the potential outcome of where this could go, whether it's positive, neutral, even negative, is going to have ripple effects across the entire industry. And I think this is going to be one to watch. But with all of that happening, it seems and appears that Ripple continues to do partnerships throughout the world. They're obviously running on a global platform. They don't seem to have any worry in the world about what's going to happen with the SEC. It's kind of business as usual for them. All right, so as you guys know, from time to time we do these market movers. The idea is we bring together a little bit of data, a little bit of stories, and some analysis, and we try to present to you a picture that you can go out and research. Remember, this is not investment advice, just investment opinion on where we think things might go. When you look at this story right here, why XRP is soaring, basically you saw up 18% in the past 24 hours, 1.2 trillion infrastructure legislation was also on top of us. All of that happening this week, and Ripple was still overperforming and over-indexing in terms of the chart. One thing that I think a lot of people do not realize is what Ripple really does and what it means to the entire global financial system. This was a piece right here. This is because Ripple's greatest competitor is the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Transactions. It's a thing called SWIFT. SWIFT pretty much runs all interbank transactions worldwide. They process a large scale of transactions across 11,000 financial institutions, including the Fed. So when you have a company like Ripple that is essentially waiting in the wings that potentially could, in essence, give the Web 3.0 of SWIFT out there, and the only thing holding them back is going to be some sort of verification or certification from the SEC, at least on the US banks, much less what they're doing on an international standpoint, which I think they've already started moving in some very strategic platform connections with what's happening on the international side. So this is a big deal. I mean, in the sense that the shoe could drop at any minute, whether it's positive or negative. Let's say it goes negative and they have to pay a fine. That's going to clear this, at least the case. It may kind of be that draw that I think the SEC is probably hoping for, because it just seems like we're seeing more and more of those kind of scenarios here. And I want to jump to some of the things that are happening with the SEC, because this is where it gets a little dicey, and there are some things that Ripple has done that I think will probably come out. That's why some of the depositions have not been made public yet, and whether or not they're ever going to be made public, that's going to be the real question. But you look at this story right here, SEC is playing keep away with Ripple is playing keep away with the SEC. Monday, they asked Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn, who's basically the Southern District, for a couple of things from Ripple, and that was additional communications, and it was really all based on this whole Slack communication platform. And for all of you guys out there using Slack, now you know Slack is now one of those that can be subpoenaed in a court of law. But the SEC believes Ripple is withholding Slack data on purpose, as the motion request includes redacted sections of related to testimony offered by a couple of Ripple staffers, including CTO David Schwartz. So this is a big deal. I mean, this goes up the chain in terms of the people involved with this. And what are they trying to, I won't say hide from the SEC or just not go into detail. The other thing here is with the window or fact discovery rapidly drawing to a close, the SEC argues that Ripple's data refusal to honor is basically saying, hey, wait a minute, some of this works, some of this doesn't work for what you're asking for, because it's not like you can just depose and get everything in the world from a company. So what the SEC did is they deposed 11 Ripple witnesses based on incomplete communications records, which limited the SEC's ability to kind of refresh these employees' thoughts on what actually happened. So they couldn't get the documents, or the documents weren't available, and they had to go to the human backup. And the human backup was the amount of communication that we're going through Slack. Who knows what that particular communication said? So you've got that kind of scenario all funneling into where it's going. So why does this not affect Ripple's price? That's really the question here. Ripple has continuously seen over the past 10 days a continuous run up here, and to where right now we're bumping the dollar mark again with Ripple, and the likelihood is that there is no slowdown in sight, especially if we continue to see both Bitcoin and Ethereum on their continued bull run here. But the XRP price chart, let's look at this double bottom, puts the next bullish target at $1, which is really where it's running at right now. The XRP token, they said, could hit the buck in the next couple of days. It's going to be there. Dubbed the double bottom, the trend reversal indicator appears that after the bottom's out level, it rebounds toward a higher resistance level. These are typical scenarios that are starting to show up in the charts for XRP. And I think the thing here is that you've got a lot of fundamentals that are really kind of at play here. So obviously the price surged by 77.3%, and it did bottom out back in July, which was around 50% or 50 cents. So imagine if you had purchased in July, you would have doubled your money up to right now. That in itself is pretty big news in the sense that we've continued to see the amount of FUD coming from legislative pressures. You've got the SEC continuing to really kind of just turmoil with Ripple. And then you have Ripple over here doing deals around the globe on advancing what they're trying to do in terms of replacing the SWIFT network. Here's the other thing with what we looked at, and we've had a video on. Make sure and check out our video on the Senate pushback in terms of the crypto bill and why that potentially could have a wide sweeping effect. Even though there's a lot of people that, very, very smart people in the space that feel that this is not going to get through the House, and the likelihood we won't see this kind of amendment really being in place in terms of the verbiage that would cause a lot of, let's just say, turmoil within the cryptocurrency space. So with all that being in the case, and you've got all of what's happening with Ripple right now, we may be coming to a point, because remember, SEC chairman is basically asking Ms. Yellen, Janet Yellen, give me more power. I think I need more power to control and govern what's happening in the cryptocurrency space, regardless if this may run over to other departments and spill over into other areas of the industry. The fact that the SEC is really on top of this is going to be an interesting play out in the next year or two. Some of this could be just clarification, which could be opening up a great opportunity, I think, for cryptocurrency in general, because a lot of this will start to get to a point where clarification kind of helps the industry as a whole. I want to jump over to the Trading View chart, and we'll just kind of take a look here, because there wasn't a lot of opportunity here to pull sentiment. So what we did was we looked at this last little spike that occurred on August 11th. Yesterday, and you saw the price hitting almost, it was a little over $1 on that one green candle here. And you can kind of see this little bit of downward movement to about right here, which happened on August 12th. And the sentiment was holding, of course, at 69.06. XRP sentiment has been pretty high at over 50 points pretty much the entire year. So a 69.06 is still a very, very formidable sentiment number for them. But the amplification, this is where it gets really interesting, because of amplification. Once you start to flip it, amplification is usually trailing sentiment. In this particular case, amplification is outperforming sentiment, though very lightly, at 70.13. With that being the case, this is where we are on the current amplification bubble. And it's tracking well with where we see the movement, and you can kind of see where XRP is moving right now. The key is going to be this area right here, and I want to kind of draw this out. And this has been the case on a couple of tokens we've been tracking here recently. This is going to be the zone that we really have to watch for before we see a potential uptrend here on XRP. So if you're looking at an entry point, right now we're at 95, closing in at around 95 cents. Yep, looks like current market 95 cents. This is going to be interesting if we continue to see a downtrend here, if it tracks with this particular bubble right here on amplification. We don't have a big run out here in terms of amplification, only going out to the 15th of August, but we do see a potential zone that could land for XRP. And that's going to put it somewhere in the $6 to $1.15 point. But I do look at XRP as a whole around the 6-month high at about $1.90, and we could see a potential. That was the $1.90 from the previous 6 months, but we could see a potential by mid-September in terms of maybe a 3x, pending on if Bitcoin and Ethereum continue the market push. Not that XRP really, coincides with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it does coincide with the investor mindset, and that is the key with XRP is sentiment. Sentiment is huge, and as you guys know, the amount of people that watch this show around XRP is amazing. And that has so much of a factor in how these investors continue to support XRP and kind of its growth. If you have some comments, we love to hear them. We love to get your feedback. Make sure and put them in the comments below on XRP and where you think this might be going. Are you softening on where the SEC, or do you feel like XRP is really more of a global standard that is really just waiting for the United States to kind of join the party? Love to hear your feedback. And of course, if you want to hit us up on a show idea or you have an interview that you'd love us to hit up, very simple. Just send us an email, producer@revernetworks.com, or hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.